Welcome to the Growlers and Gremlins podcast, an alcoholic adventure in cryptids, paranormal, and the occult. Coming to you weekly from the heartland of America.
Welcome to Growlers and Gremlins. I am John, and with me this week I have across from me,
Jason, the analyst.
And to the right,
Brian.
And our guest this week, returning,
is Alicia. I'm the only female you idiots know.
Yeah.
We know you're friends.
Yeah, I do know your friends.
I know your friends too.
Barely.
Hey, we went to the same school. Kind of, maybe.
You were the school shooter.
You're not wrong. Remember how people reacted that one day?
They were scared of you.
Yeah,
I wore a suit.
We've never
white
told
gloves.
this story.
Actually, I believe we have.
Yeah?
In the life of Brian.
Did we? Today's the day.
Yeah, he shows up in like a suit and...
Yeah, suit and gloves with his hair slicked back, goes to school, and everyone's terrified.
Yeah.
And they say, Brian, what's going on? He goes, today's the day.
Yep. Today's the day. I decided to wear a suit.
If you were in high school today, like these days, you would be... I don't even know what they'd do with you. Because I feel like they'd be monitoring you heavily, and like you'd probably have been expelled just for your thoughts.
Say it wouldn't even be short bus at that point. He'd have his own bus.
They'd bring him in his own padded bus. Like
Hannibal.
What was that movie?
Hannibal Lecter.
The New Guy.
Oh.
You guys remember that movie?
Yeah.
With DJ Qualls, and like they brought him to school in like a straitjacket and a face mask thing.
That's where, was it the cafeteria lady right angles his dick?
I think so.
Yeah.
What?
Well, anyway.
Yeah, that was a weird movie. But anyway, our beer of the week this week is Pineapple QTFO IPA, which is from Quaff On Brewing Company. So, I mean, you can gather what QTFO means.
What does
But
it mean?
I can't because I don't know what the fuck the cute
I don't either.
quaff.
quaff the fuck on.
Yeah.
Oh.
But we watch our language on this podcast.
Well, I mean, for me, it could be quaff the freaking objective.
Sure.
You
'Cause
idiot.
I know PTFO for
Yeah, but
Battlefield.
quaff means drink.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Drink On Brewing Company?
Yeah.
So where would people find Quaff On?
That is in Brown County, Indiana.
Brown.
And this is a pineapple flavored IPA.
Brown.
Crack this open. Well, bottle opener it open.
It's not bad.
No, it's still bad. I don't taste the pineapple.
I taste a little bit of the pineapple. That's why I say it's not bad, because I don't really care for pineapple.
It smells
but
like pineapple juice.
It's-
a lot.
it doesn't have a super strong pineapple taste to it.
I just taste IPA.
I like that. It tastes
Yeah,
like
I actually don't hate it.
tastes like a pineapple IPA because it's not a super strong IPA. It's not overly bitter. It's just kind of
It's still pretty
Sweet.
bitter to my tongue.
A little bitter. But I'm not a baby like Brian.
I just don't like IPAs. I drink motor oil, Alicia.
Yeah,
You're
we
not going to
know.
have a good time in the next few episodes, Brian.
Nah, my beer isn't an IPA. Yeah, it is.
You bought an American Pale Ale. The other beer that I bought was an IPA. And then Jason bought a sour. So we'll get to that. But
Yeah. Well, we chose lighter beers because Alicia hates air conditioning, so we wanted something we weren't going to die while we're drinking.
It's true. It's true.
I don't think I can keep buying Taxman. I'm going to run out of cans.
Taxman's killing me.
Although I just saw the, what was it? The hops audit that they had.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't had that one. It's like,
But
damn.
Taxman just goes down too easy, and it shouldn't go down as easy as it does for how strong it
It's a
is.
sneaky beer.
Yeah.
I'm on beer 5 in 30 minutes. Oh.
Yeah. It
As you hit the ground.
That's what the other night I had.
Is that what happened D&D night?
Yeah, that is exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
I
I
had-
had 6 or 7, and then they all just kind of ganged up and punched me in the back of the skull.
Yeah, because I had 3 in pretty quick succession the other night, and I was telling Alicia, I kind of get why Brian was the way he was that night, because I've just had 3 of them fairly quickly, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
You had like 8.
Yeah, well,
Because
because
you brought 2 4-packs and you just drank them
you
both.
kept saying you're like, he's faking it, he's faking it. I was like, I don't think he is.
Yeah, no, I don't think you were. Now, but at the time, I thought you were being a drama queen.
What about drinking?
Yeah. Because you were like sleeping on the bathroom floor for like 2 hours. And it was like 8 p.m.
And we were bullying his D&D character, too.
Yeah, I got raped.
Not yet. It's coming.
Yeah.
Kevin's. Yeah, the fish monster. Good thing we killed it.
So for once, I actually want to talk about something that's fairly recent and relevant, which is a rare thing for us. On May 14th of 2021, there was new footage leaked that was footage taken by the Navy off of the deck of the USS Omaha. They were off the coast near San Diego, and they have video of a spherical UFO that's just kind of darting around side to side in the sky, and then it just disappears into the ocean. And you can hear them say that there was a splash, but they haven't found any wreckage or any evidence of anything underwater. It's just a mystery. And this happened in July of 2019, so not quite as long ago as some of the other leaked UFO footage that we've had recently that have been like 2004 or 2007. This one's quite a bit more recent. And the fact that it went into the ocean got me thinking about something I heard about years ago called USOs, which is Unidentified Submerged Objects. So, which, I mean, now they're not even really using UFO as much anymore. They're using UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. I don't know why, but...
Well, guys,
it's a little better than flying object. Like, you know, if I throw a stake through the air and you can't tell what it is, it's technically a UFO.
Well, I think...
But it's also aerial phenomena.
Well, the aerial phenomena will encompass more than just saucers. It could be lights, energy signatures, just something...
Yeah, lights are a common one, so that probably help to, group it all in. But... I got thinking about USOs, and I had a friend that was really into that years ago. He was like, no, man, the aliens aren't coming from space. They're coming from the ocean.
Yeah, they come from another dimension through a rift in the bottom of the Pacific, and they're going to send giant monsters to get us, and we're going to have to build giant robots to fight them back.
Yes, and we'll send a nuke right through it.
Yes.
I feel like I've heard this before.
Yes.
It's my specific rim.
Yeah,
they have to send a nuke right through my specific rim.
We're already past the timeline, though. I think the first monster was in 2020.
Yeah, it was.
But if that was the timeline I needed to get giant fucking robots to exist in this world, I would have taken it. But
it's probably delayed because all the scientists were, locked down and
but the monsters would have still come.
God.
If the monsters showed up, COVID would have been an afterthought.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So in the movie,
if the COVID actually comes from the monsters
and they're coming?
What?
No, like in the movie. Okay, so the kaiju keep coming out of this hole, and Charlie figures out, I don't know his name in the movie, but Charlie Day, his character figures out that like they're clones, they're all like similar and everything. And I just thought, what if that rift was some intergalactic massive being's vagina?
Oh, God.
And it was just birthing them into our world. And so then
So are you
we
telling
sent
me
a nuke right up there?
But they reverse birthed a robot to the other side?
Yes.
So we sent the world's largest sex toy through an intergalactic dimension.
Yes.
And detonated it inside of somebody.
Yeah, what were they called, the robots?
Jaegers.
Jaegers, yeah, the Jaegers were just giant.
Why don't we get back on the subject so we can actually publish this episode?
Oh, we can publish any of this. This is fine.
It's not offensive.
So, anyways, looking at the USO phenomenon, there's really not a whole lot out there. Like the Wikipedia page for USOs is like a single sentence. It's a USO is an unidentified submerged object. That's the Wikipedia page. There's not been a whole lot of documentation around it. There's not, widespread reports of this because it's all UFO reporting. But you do find instances where people are seeing UFOs go into the ocean or come out of the ocean. And there's a few places around the world that people believe that there are underwater alien bases. So they've got...
what, like the Marianas Trench or something?
No, there's I'll go through some of them, but like there's some specific locations that they have some sort of a weird underwater anomaly, and also tend to be UFO hotspots. So people believe that aliens either came here long time ago, set up long-term bases, and have just been working out of these underwater bases because we won't see the bases, and save time, save money, whatever they need.
Save their money.
Well, yeah, make it a little easier.
Just don't imagine that they have money, but man,
Well, I mean, any advanced civilization probably at some point had some form of currency.
Yeah, it's just weird to think about.
Just as long as it wasn't cryptocurrency, because they'd be bankrupt by now.
Yeah, that's a funny thing is like that we have aliens on bases in our oceans here, and they're getting news back from their home planet that their government may be defunding the program. And they've like lived whole lives and have generations living under our oceans.
But that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but then some other people think that it's some sort of advanced race that has been here all along, like the Atlanteans or something.
Yeah.
And that they do have underwater cities and bases, and they have like super advanced technology.
I feel like it's believable because like the ocean is so big and like so unknown, and like I feel like it's believable.
I mean, I think
the ocean is scary.
It is scary.
Damn, ocean, you fucking scary.
Do you
man.
both have the same existential dread of the ocean?
I don't know.
I'm pretty terrified of the ocean.
I say that like if
I wouldn't want to be
reincarnation,
stranded on the ocean.
I'd say if reincarnation is a real thing, then I drowned in my past life because I'm not a good swimmer. I'm okay. I can keep myself alive, but I have this awful fear of like being stranded in the open ocean. I just don't like the feeling of being out on water where I can't see land and like what's under you is so mysterious. But I was also born with collapsed lungs. So, they say that some of these kids that believe they were reincarnated, they carry over certain signs of like the way they died or something. Like a kid will have a birthmark in the same spot that someone else was shot in the head. And I watched the whole thing about it. It was really cool, but it's like, well, if that's real, I definitely drowned.
See, I was born with jaundice. How'd I die last time? Alcohol poisoning?
Hey, me too. I drank myself to death.
You came in with fetal alcohol poisoning, and you'll go out by alcohol poisoning. No, I mean, jaundice is just pretty explainable because it's premature. It just happens when you're premature sometimes. But I don't know. Could be you were thrown in a vat of acid. I don't know.
You
Died
the next one.
in a horrible brewing accident.
All right, so I'm gonna go through some of these. I'm gonna save the best for last because there is one that I think is genuinely pretty cool. All right, so I gotta read you this article from the Bailiwick Express, Jersey edition. UFO hunters claim they found an underwater alien base on Google Maps.
Oh yeah,
On Google Maps.
That's how most of these get. It starts to circulate as somebody sees something weird on Google Maps and they want an answer.
Well, there actually has been discoveries made that way.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these are really interesting. Like the last one I'm going to get to was something that people did find on Google Maps, and it's a real thing. It's just debated as to what it is. So an alien researcher believes he has found evidence of a giant pyramid beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean that could be an alien underwater base. Found by Argentine researcher Marcelo Igazusta. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Igazusta, maybe. And detailed on the UFO Sightings Daily blog by Scott Waring. The object is said to measure more than 8.5 miles across at its base. Even if this is not a UFO that landed in the ocean that was being used as an alien base, it is still a monumental discovery, said Waring. An 8.5 mile pyramid, biggest the world has ever known, and it's right off of Mexico, near the ancient Mayan and Aztec pyramids. Humans could never have built such a construction. Only aliens could accomplish making such a massive structure. Which I hate that. That's one of the big justifications in the ancient alien stuff. There's like, there is no way they could have done it. Like the people that believe aliens built the Egyptian pyramids. And it's like,
If that's
when people don't have a choice, they'll build whatever you make them build. You know, the Egyptian pyramids were built by slaves.
That makes me think of the argument. It's like, oh, that's the only. There's no possible way. It's like, well, does that mean they built the Colosseum too?
Yeah, I mean that's
that was
another
a feat of
engineering. And
like, have you seen what that looks like when they take it all apart? Like, how many trap rooms are in the bottom of that?
It's really cool.
It's like, how the fuck did they get this to manage? Because
Yeah,
it's all made out of solid rock.
aliens built the London egg.
Well, what was it last year? There was those metal towers that were showing up all over the place.
What were they called?
The monoliths that were just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an art project.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Utah monoliths.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, but then
It was really cool.
Yeah, it seemed like something, but there was so much going on last year. It was hard to keep track of.
I'm gonna say
people thought it was like a what was it? They thought it was like some kind of rail gun that was fired from space.
yeah. As soon as I saw that, and they were like, "Oh, the video, here it is." I'm like, "That's not real. That's too placed. There's nothing wrong with it."
Yeah, because a railgun fired from space that would have
It would not only
the
would there
concussive
be a
force of a
concussion,
nuclear bomb,
Yeah,
so
it
it would
would-
have displaced all the dirt,
it
all the
would have
trees,
been an
everything.
earthquake, and it would be about 3/4 of a mile into the ground.
So the one that we were just talking about, the 8.5 mile pyramid, it turned out supposedly
Gross
it
mile.
was what?
Talking to Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Throw
Well,
hands.
Jesse's not on this podcast right now. He's not here.
Well, he's getting mowed down, so
Brian needs to sit over
Focus,
here so he can't see the TV.
Yeah, I'm make him switch seats with Elisa.
It turns out that it was actually a known rock formation known as Sail Rock that lies off the coast of Deception Island. So
Deception.
yeah, they say, "Oh, this is the answer right off the coast of Deception Island." Maybe it is a deception. Maybe it is an alien base.
Well, I mean, we do know that the crust of the Earth moves dramatically over a large enough time scale.
Yeah,
Could it have just been this was above ground at some point?
it could be.
I mean,
But even then, if this was above ground at some point, you're looking at an 8.5 mile across pyramid.
Mhm.
I mean, how tall would that be?
Is it a perfect pyramid or is it just a ridge at that point?
Supposedly it's a
'Cause
pyramid.
I'm going to say a pyramid is a very specific geographic structure. If it's just a big mountain that's sunk below the ocean,
I don't think they would have used the term pyramid if it wasn't.
also, can we revisit what you said?
What?
It's not a geographic, it's a geometric.
whatever.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
This one's geographic. But yeah, I don't think they would have used the term pyramid if it was just an underwater mountain, because I mean
picture
there
it?
are plenty of those.
I'm going
don't.
to say if it's named and they know about it, then somebody has swam to it or put a drone on it, I would assume.
Yeah, I think they went and looked at it with a sub.
So I got to assume this is just the remains of a mountain.
Yeah, that one wasn't all that interesting, but another one that I thought was kind of fun that I came across was another one off the coast of Mexico. This one in the Gulf of Mexico. So this is an article in The Guardian. Space oddity. Mexican group claims alien base offers hurricane protection.
Oh God.
Underwater?
Yeah.
Underwater hurricane protection?
No, they believe there's an underwater base protecting them from hurricanes. So,
I don't think it's done much in the last few years, but
Yeah, I'm going to say it seems like it's not doing its job very well.
members of the Association of Scientific UFO Research of Tamaulipas, I don't know, believe that an interdimensional underwater base of extraterrestrial origin has protected the coastal cities of something that starts with C, Madero, and Tampico from hurricanes for more than 50 years. The group's president, Juan Carlos Ramon Lopez Diaz, that's a lot of names, claims to have visited the base known as Amupac via astral projection. Which he says he induced through meditation and a pescatarian diet.
What's a pescatarian?
A pescatarian is a vegetarian that eats fish.
So not a vegetarian.
It's a pescatarian.
You're eating an animal.
Yeah.
Fish don't have feelings, remember?
Yeah, that's the idea behind pescatarianism, is that fish don't have
why
souls.
do cows have more feelings than fish?
Have you looked in the eyes of a cow?
No.
Like, I don't
Yes.
have any problem eating them, but look in the eyes of a cow or a pig. Pigs are the worst, though.
I can put
Pigs
a...
have human eyes.
So? It doesn't stop the axe from coming
Pigs
down.
are
No,
very
it doesn't
smart,
stop me from
too.
eating them, but it's like I could see why someone would say a pig or a cow.
No, I mean,
has
like,
more.
And pigs are very intelligent. So
Yeah, then that's pigs and cows
yes,
are both
pigs
more
and-
intelligent
they're
than
one of the most
fish.
intelligent animals in the world.
okay, you find me a cow that can walk 800 miles to a place it was born, and I'll call that a smart cow.
Why would I need to do that?
Because salmon...
fish can remove.
We're talking
Fish can remember the exact spots they're born and swim back up a stream years later to that spot.
I don't know. I don't know if that's memory or instinct.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe
Well,
like
what's
an
the
instinct
difference?
thing.
There's a difference.
Is there?
Because, like, fish are stupid,
Yeah, so are cows.
you know?
Cows scratch themselves on barbed wire.
Well, if you have an itch,
Scratch
you
it.
know, I'd use barbed wire if there's nothing else around. Come on,
You're not
Brian.
going to convince me pigs and cows are smart.
They don't have... Think about that. That is a cow using a tool. It
No,
does not
because
have
bears-
hands, it doesn't have hands to scratch itself.
Yeah, bears
but
do the
it
same
knows-
thing.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a sign of
That's like
intelligence.
telling a cat, oh, you're really smart for using your foot to scratch the back of your head.
Cats are smart.
Yeah, cats
Fish are not.
Anyway, we'll just move
That
on.
does remind me, though, we need to find an excuse to talk about monkeys entering the Stone Age.
Yeah,
It's probably not this episode, but someday.
yeah. Brian got there recently.
the Stone Age.
No, anyway, so they believe that in the Gulf of Mexico, at the bottom, they don't have any evidence for it other than this guy who says he visited it through astral projection. But he believes that the cities inside the Gulf of Mexico along the eastern Mexican coast have been protected from hurricanes because, well, obviously there's an alien base underwater and they're keeping them safe.
Jesse, that's a flamethrower.
It is interesting, though, that, you know, the Gulf tends to not really get hit hard with hurricanes unless it's like Louisiana, the north end of it.
Right.
But honestly, I think that's more of just the way that weather patterns work and the way that the Gulf is shaped just kind of ends up breaking apart hurricanes before they can make landfall.
Plus, how could an underwater base affect, unless you're creating some sort of heat updraft
That's what I was
that's
gonna say.
destroying.
Temperature, like
Well, I think that their thinking is that they are specifically keeping them away. It's not by accident that, like, oh, the base is giving off heat or something, it's breaking it up.
well, that and the
That
heat.
they're like specifically using some kind of advanced technology to prevent hurricanes, not to really protect the people on the coast, but to protect their own base.
This documentary that I was watching, it was saying that in recent years, the heat going up, the temperature of the ocean, is actually causing hurricanes to be worse and stronger and like come to like a standstill over like
Oh, and how they just pick up power.
yeah,
they,
and they'll just like they're you know, what's it called, a depression. They become a tropical depression, but they'll just sit there on a town and like just flood it and like, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
that
things
what
tend to get hung up on things. That's why, like,
heat?
tornadoes generally, once they make landfall and actually, like, touch the ground, they don't usually go very far because it's, like, almost like a weather friction. They meet resistance and it just starts to...
the temperature
come apart.
differential
Yeah, that too.
and quite literally friction at some point, right?
That's what I said.
They're picking up debris and cows.
Cows.
I remember getting so excited when I was a kid playing baseball, and on every once in a while you'd get like a little dust devil in the
Oh yeah.
In the dirt.
You used to see them in
Yeah.
the fields, like sometimes
those
just
tiny little things. Those
yeah.
were so cool.
I always like the videos of the cloudless tornadoes where you don't get to see them coming down, but all of a sudden you just see as all the stuff on the ground starts getting ripped up skyward.
You remember, like, you could go to like a children's museum gift shop or something and you get those little tornado in a
I used to
tube
have
things where you'd spin it around. I had one that I got somewhere, I don't remember where, but it had little cows in it. So you'd spin it around, get the tornado going, and the little cows would go flying around.
That's
That was awesome. I don't know, it's funny.
I mean, I can.
It happens.
Let's say Twister, cow,
Yep.
another cow.
I never
think
made
that
it
was the
through
same
that
guy.
whole movie.
Oh, I've seen that movie so
Ow.
many times.
I just never made it through the whole thing. It was kind of old.
You're
Not-
kind of old.
Not even. Did you have television growing up?
Yeah.
No.
Well, sometimes.
I was gonna say, it was on television back in the early 2000s.
He wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter.
Yeah, it was.
I know, but I'm just making a joke.
No, in my house, it was like my dad was constantly having fights with like cable companies and satellite companies and stuff. And so there was a long time period in my childhood where we did not have any form of television. And then when streaming services came around, we got those, but never really had cable or satellite. So I didn't watch what was on. I watched what I wanted to watch, you know?
Right.
I didn't have to subject myself to watching whatever was on like you peasants.
What do you think about kids nowadays? They're not going to like know any patience.
Oh, absolutely not.
There's no waiting until Saturday morning for cartoons. Mm-hmm. Cartoons are just always there.
Yeah, my 3-year-old knows how to skip ads on YouTube. It's awful.
It just makes me think it's like, oh, I got to use the bathroom. It's like, I'll just wait for the commercial break. And nowadays, it's like I'm watching a Netflix movie. It's like I could just pause it, but I'm just gonna keep watching.
So I got to tell you guys about the most interesting one of all, and then we'll open it up to discussion. This one I actually thought was really cool. There are great images of it, and it's not really been. It hasn't been explained in a satisfying way. I'll say that. So there is a thing off the coast of Malibu. It's about 6 miles off the coast, which is only about 2 hours away from San Diego, where the recent sighting happened. There is something called the Sycamore Knoll. Under the ocean, there is something that is about 3 miles across that looks like a stadium from above. It's like this perfect dome, like an oval-shaped, like a football stadium. And looking at it from, like, say you're further off the coast and you were underwater and looking at it, it looks like it has a very large entrance with columns, like big pillars at the entrance. And people believe that it's an alien base, and there have been a lot of UFO sightings around Malibu, and also just off the coast of San Diego, not that far away, we had a UFO in the sky and then disappear into the ocean. So this thing, I can show you guys a picture of it, but the best way I can describe it for our audience is it just looks like the entrance to some kind of cool underwater thing. It's super weird.
I can see that naturally forming.
Well, the area around
I got to look at it for about a tenth of a second.
Well, I'm trying to keep talking for our listeners. I don't want to just pause
to
and
me,
look
what
at a
it looks
picture.
like is just like a shelf formed and currents kind of dug out underneath of it.
Well, what's weird about it is that it doesn't look like anything surrounding it. It's a very distinct thing, just right there, and everything around it looks fairly normal.
But what I can picture is, the currents coming towards the shore, smoothing the top of it over, and then as it's the current returns back to the ocean.
But why wouldn't it have smoothed it down like everything else in the area?
Probably because it's a tectonic plate shift that broke
difference in materials.
So, basically the official explanation is that's just the way the continental shelf looks there. But this is a great image of it.
Did you say how deep these are?
It's super weird. What?
Like, how deep are these?
How deep is this?
How deep down are they?
I don't know how deep this one is. Let me check.
Because you just think
Google it.
that, like, if there was something like that, they'd be pretty far down.
I would assume it's pretty well explored at this point if it's that close to the shoreline.
Yeah.
It's 2,000 feet underwater.
Oh.
Pretty well explored.
It's quite deep.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I still say that looks something that could be naturally formed to me.
It does, kind of. I think so, too.
While it does look like it could be naturally formed, the odd thing about it is it's the only one in the world that we know of.
Okay.
So it's like, well, maybe there's something weird going on,
But, I mean, if you have random
UFO sightings, in the UFO sightings, UFOs going into the water, why can't this be their base?
States, but anyway,
I think we should, after they saw it go down there, and I think the military and the Navy need to start the depth charging process.
Well, if you think about
bring down the dome,
how much of our oceans are unexplored, I mean, why would it be impossible for some kind of advanced race or an alien base to be down there with advanced technology. I mean, because we have sightings all over the world of UFOs that either go in or come out of water.
There is sightings of coming out of the water?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because, like, something going into it, you'd be like, oh, you know, that's anything, you know?
But you would think they would have found some sort of evidence of wreckage or something. But
maybe. There's a lot of things that end up in the ocean and are gone forever.
yeah, I mean, Amelia Earhart. But just don't let a woman fly a plane.
But yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's just the ocean's very big and they're just not going to find it because.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that they have found that very much seem like they're her plane, and then they're like, well, I don't know, because there were like 2 more rivets on this piece than what we have in this picture from like 1930.
I'm gonna say, if you're gonna try to tell me that we found Amelia Earhart's plane in the Pacific and now it's like, you better be.
If they found it in the Pacific, I would be shocked.
Where'd she go down? I thought she went down over the Pacific.
No.
Where'd she go down?
Wasn't the Atlantic?
It was
I thought it was a transatlantic flight, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty sure
I thought she had flown over the Atlantic and then was flying around the world and then disappeared in the Pacific.
Maybe she. Okay, so maybe she was doing a flight around the world. Let's find out. Because wasn't she the first woman to actually complete a transatlantic flight?
That might be it, yeah.
And that she was going to do a full circle.
I did a report on her when I was in elementary school, but I don't remember anything.
Yeah, you've always been fascinated with that, and I don't get it.
I haven't been fascinated with it. I just think it's
comes
interesting.
up a lot with
And-
you.
No, it doesn't. I watched one documentary.
And lately, it's so much Princess Diana.
Reported missing near
I just like
Howland
Princess Diana.
Island
That
in the
night, we had to
Pacific.
watch 2 documentaries in a row about Princess Diana.
I just think Princess Diana was a good person. She was the people's princess.
Her husband sure wasn't.
Yeah.
No, her husband.
She went down the
Garbage.
Pacific, out near Howland Island, wherever the fuck that is.
Okay.
So yeah,
See, they
but
know where.
I'm gonna say, if you're about to tell me that we think we found a plane, it's like, you better be damn sure that there was not a dogfight or a major battle of the Pacific anywhere near there. Because unless you bring that plane up and go, we know it's hers.
Well, they have found lots of planes, and that's why they all get discounted as not being hers, is because they're very thorough in like making sure that it's the exact model with all the exact modifications.
They better look at that skeleton and see the hat on the skeleton of that body.
But also, like, you're like, oh, they got to bring it up. Well, a lot of times they can't bring wreckage
can't.
up because it becomes so brittle that as soon as it hits the air, it just falls apart. So they have to study these things underwater.
One of the things that looking into this got me thinking about, though, is that with how prevalent it is in like science fiction and pop culture, the idea of like underwater bases and things like that, why haven't we done it? Why don't we have an underwater city yet? We do have the engineering capability
there's no
to make
reason
one.
to.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of land to
There's
live
no reason
on.
to do a lot of things that people do. There was no reason
There's
to
no
build
money.
islands
No
off the
government.
coast of Dubai.
No government is
You
gonna
know?
fund that.
Wait a second.
Elon Musk,
Tell me about
if you're
those
listening,
islands.
They're just concrete islands off the
Are
coast.
they those little ones? And
they're shaped like palm trees and stuff like that.
And it's like they're states and countries.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
that the other day.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They
was
built
there.
those.
But those are built by billionaires.
Yeah.
Also, when a building...
There's lots of billionaires, though. That's what I said. Elon Musk, if you're listening, please build us an underwater base.
He's got to perfect the truck.
The Boring Company could make a tunnel that goes straight out of California into the underwater base. You know, why not?
But the problem is, like, with a structure on land, if it fails...
No one dies.
Well,
necessarily.
Well, people
Yeah.
die all the time in structure failures.
Yeah.
yeah, but can you flood an entire facility full of how many people because one thing broke?
People float.
Yeah, bodies. But if they're trapped,
Well, it's the same with, though, we've built, towers that are almost a mile high.
no.
Well, what are you going to do for the people at the top of the tower? If something happens to the building,
Here's your parachute.
Well, that's the thing is,
We
if
know
a
what
tower
happens.
fails, people might die.
Mm-hmm.
But if
You build a tower
If an
underwater.
underwater structure fails, people might die.
No, they're
people
gonna
will
die.
They're
die.
not guaranteed to die. It depends on the depth that you build it at.
Right, the depth.
If you build
have a
it right
significant
off the
structure-
coast, just under the water, there's no reason that people in 60
you-
feet of water can't swim to the surface.
Why would you want to build an entire thing just like over there in that pond?
That's where we store the albinos.
What?
No sunlight.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
like
gingers.
That's like being, hey,
Put them underwater.
we want to build this somewhere, but we think land is too neat.
Well, haven't you ever just wanted to be a fish person?
No.
Me either.
Me either.
I take land and air over water every day.
But I mean, it's just so cost prohibitive
Why?
because you have to have this a structure that can hold out the ocean.
We do space
You have to
exploration.
remove the ocean.
Yeah, with 15
we
people.
do space exploration.
No, John, we go
And you're
to...
telling me it would be way too cost prohibitive and pointless to do some ocean exploration and maybe settle in the ocean. We want to build a base on the moon for no reason.
Space,
We could build an underwater station.
Yeah, but space provides more...
space is not trying
benefit.
to actively crush whatever you send into it.
Well, it's not trying to actively crush it, but it's not exactly a hospitable environment.
No.
Right.
So
But there's no...
I still say they're
Plus-
equal.
No, because there's less benefit to doing it underwater. Because
Sure
it's
there is.
actively harder.
No, it's not harder.
Yes,
Plus,
it
there's
is.
more to gain from being in space than
And
there is from
anything
being in
you
the
put
ocean.
in space, you're going to have every bit as much precaution as you would as something you want to put underwater.
I don't think so.
Yes,
think
anything you
it'll-
put in space has to be extremely airtight, has to have an oxygen supply. Just like anything you put in the water, it has to withstand going in and out of the atmosphere,
But outer
which
space
is intense heat and
structures
pressure.
are going to be lighter and thinner than what you have to have an extremely thick structure
So
to
what?
put it underwater.
Thin versus thick? It doesn't matter.
It's more resource heavy to go underwater. Less cost efficient.
Plus, think about
I
this.
think it's much less cost efficient to do space exploration because of how much waste there is, at least until SpaceX came around and they started landing
Okay,
their
let's look at
rockets
this.
down on
You're gonna
barges.
well,
but
you're gonna have your fuel cells, and one of your tanks broke in the ocean.
we don't need a fuel cell. What would we need a fuel cell for? We don't have to launch ourselves into the ocean.
Your fuel cell,
just our
like a
supply.
container, like an oil tank.
We use
You're-
renewable energy sources, and we
In
have a
the
bunch
ocean.
of windmills sticking up out of the ocean.
Okay, how do you power your car? Your little
Why would you have a
submersible.
car in an underwater
Your little
base?
submersible thing. You gonna power that off electricity?
The submarine?
Yeah.
Rechargeable. Charge it on land, charge it at the base.
Charge it on land. What's the point of? Why would you want to charge it on land?
Well, if you're going from the base to land, there are 2 points. You could charge at the base or you could charge at land.
Well,
Why
what would
not
be
have
the
a
point
charging
of-
station at both?
You
What's
just
the
get
point of
you
going to the
tornado
base?
door.
Think about what he's
Research.
saying. What is going to charge it at the base?
I just told you, renewable energy sources.
Well,
Shoot
it's
a
not
bunch-
an underwater city if you got a bunch of shit sticking out the top.
I never said an underwater city. I said an underwater base.
But again, it's not underwater if you got so much renewable shit sticking out the top.
If it's sticking out the top, it doesn't matter because that's not where people are. The people are underwater.
No, but it still provides something above the surface that you cannot actively go near. Underwater
what?
means you could have everything be above you.
Hydroelectric power.
How's the water going to be moving?
Tides.
Okay, I'm going to abandon this and circle back to something else. What is the benefit to having people living underwater versus people living in outer space?
There's no benefit to either other than research.
Wrong. In outer space,
Wrong.
Yeah, what's the benefit of people living in space?
Mining. For
War.
war.
War? The benefit of living in space is war.
yes, because we can nuke other countries from outer space.
But they can't
That's
nuke the moon. We can send a rocket to the moon. We can nuke the moon, Jason. We
Well, but-
absolutely can nuke the
But that's
moon.
the thing. That's the whole. What was it? Reagan and the space wars was so that we can have military superiority in orbit. That's the only reason they actually care.
And Space Force.
Right.
Now.
Right, but that's the only reason they actually care. That's the only reason why they keep pushing
Because they
this.
don't think anyone will nuke the moon.
No, because they can nuke somebody from orbit, and
But nuking somebody from orbit doesn't need a settlement on the moon.
No.
that's Elon Musk bullshit.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, though. We're talking living on the moon versus living in the ocean.
I'm not
I don't
talking
think that
living
there's
in orbit.
any more benefit or cost effectiveness to the moon than there is to being underwater.
I never said moon. I said orbit.
Well, just now you did, and that's
I've
why
been
I
saying
said.
orbit this entire time.
Oh, I don't care about orbit. We already do that. We already have
Exactly,
the
but
International Space
but
Station.
Yeah, but
saying-
that's nothing.
I'm talking about things that we have not done yet
You're
and are
talking-
trying to do.
You know what we're going to do in space? We're going to build a shipyard. And we're going to build big-ass cruisers up there.
What's the point?
What's the point? So we can carry more resources to go explore, you
We're
jackass.
not going to get anywhere.
Why not?
We don't have the technology for it yet.
Okay. You got to start
But
somewhere,
we do
and
have
it's
the
not going to.
technology to build a base underwater.
Yeah, but nobody wants
No,
to.
I do.
There's no point.
I do.
What's the point?
Research.
What research?
The ocean.
Elaborate.
What do you mean elaborate?
What are you
The
going to
ocean-
find in the
So
ocean?
much of the ocean is unexplored. We know so little about our oceans.
Do we care?
Some people do.
Some people, but a lot
Does
don't.
knowing something about the ocean help us kill somebody else? Because that's
It
where the
could.
money goes.
It could. Knowing something about the moon doesn't help us kill anyone else.
Why do we need to kill somebody else?
Because that's the only way scientists get funding is
The way
where it has
that
military
society
applications.
advances is through war.
It's, what I'm hearing is we need to have another war.
The greatest technological advances in our world have all happened during times of war.
So we need to have an ocean war and a space war, and whichever one ends
Ocean
last,
war.
Yeah, ocean war. It'd be so cool.
whichever one takes the longest is the winner. Because we've already had an ocean war.
You know what? That's the way we fix the world. All wars have to be naval, so that no civilians are harmed. We fight all of our wars on the open ocean.
Everybody has floaties.
There's
on,
no
so the
collateral
guys-
damage.
That's a good idea.
Like, we just fight all our wars in the Pacific
There's enough room.
because we're not going to war with
Yeah.
anyone over the Atlantic. I hit it.
Yeah,
You know,
Well,
we
that-
just have wars in space. Same thing
right.
That'll be the Great Chinese-American War.
in the
Just
Pacific.
do it in the Pacific. And then once we've drawn them out, the U.S. will nuke China.
It'd only be the coast. There's nothing really inland.
Yeah.
Unless we want to blow up some
there's
dams
quite a
or
bit
something.
inland.
There's not very far inland. They're very coastal
Yeah.
for their major shit.
But,
Got to hit those weaker camps.
I don't know. Alien bases underwater? You think? Maybe? I mean, why else would UFOs be going into the water?
I mean, it's likely
Yeah.
and probable that, hey, what
But
happened?
also-
Because aliens, with their higher intelligence and better resources, determined that it was more cost effective to build their bases underwater.
Why wouldn't it just be more cost effective to leave them in orbit where we can't find them?
Well, it was more cost effective to build them underwater for some reason. They didn't want
So
to
it
have to
was
deal
mo-
with re-entry all the time.
But if they're alien species with capabilities of FTL,
It's much easier for them to go
Wouldn't
in
it-
and out of our ocean than to go in and out of our atmosphere.
but wouldn't it just be easier just
Is
to
it
tap
though?
into our
Because
transmissions?
once you get more pressure,
You have to deal with so much going in and out of the atmosphere.
Not pressure,
There
that's
are
heat.
there are massive pressure changes throughout the atmosphere.
Yeah, but it gets lighter.
Send a balloon up, it eventually pops. The pressure changes work both directions. The deeper you go, the higher the pressure. The higher you go, the lower the pressure.
Yeah,
That
but a
works.
person doesn't pop at 25,000 feet. You go down and you get turned inside out.
At a certain height, a person will pop.
Yeah, but it's not within 5 miles. You go 1 mile underneath the surface of the ocean as a person, you get crushed like a beer can.
Well, yeah, they don't have to build it a mile deep. That's the thing. You keep thinking they have to build it at the floor, at the deepest point. They could build it right off the coast. It could be right under our noses, and we wouldn't know it because they've cloaked it in earth to make it look like a natural
Well, I
structure.
could just say, yeah, they just blew a hole in a mountain and all the rocks fell over the side of it, and they just put an entry hole.
Yeah.
They could just do that anywhere.
Yeah, but underwater, it's a little more hidden.
Is it?
You don't have to deal with a stray hiker.
I mean, how many people in the Rockies know every inch of it? How many rocks are completely untouched by man?
There's probably some guy named Roger or something, that's out there, and he knows every inch of the Rockies.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's like, yes, it's likely, but honestly, aliens now, they could just sit in orbit and hook onto a satellite and just get everything they need. It's not like they're watching one person.
But we don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they're doing.
No, we don't, but I would assume if they're trying to gather information,
What if
they would just
need
hook
to
in.
build bases underwater because we are in orbit and they don't want to be seen?
Again, they just throw something into a communication satellite and go hang out.
you're also forgetting the tactical advantage of the high ground.
The moon?
The higher
There's
you
a
can-
tactical advantage to being underwater.
No, really.
Absolutely, there is.
Yeah, for subs.
Yeah.
But
Imagine if you had a sub that could fly. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be a great weapon?
no.
So maybe they have subs that can fly. Like UFOs
You know-
are also submersible. What's wrong with that? It's the ultimate weapon. It can travel through space, through air, through water, and across land.
That would sound to me like it just has good shielding.
It's
Yeah.
just the ultimate vehicle.
What I would be more inclined to think is
Mhm.
they just duck under the ocean to
To get
avoid
away.
visual detection move underwater for a while, and then pop up somewhere else, and then go back to wherever the hell they came from.
They've still bothered to make it submersible.
Or
But if you have some sort of force field technology, and you're just all it is just repelling force.
Why do we think it's force field though?
Because
what
why
if
is
it
glowing?
isn't? Because it has lights on it. Plus, in the video, it's not glowing. It's just a black sphere.
Yeah, the video, if it's the same one I'm thinking about, it's pretty terrible quality. And it's just like, just a little thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Just that little black dot. Well, it's bigger than that dot, but...
I mean, we don't know how far away it was from the ship.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know.
The relative
I think
size
it
of
seems possible. Because, like I said, there's so much mystery in the ocean.
Exactly, which is why it's worth building a base and learning more.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that.
Why would you want a base?
For fun. Did you guys see the Meg?
No.
Oh, and that worked so well in that movie.
But it was
Every
cool.
movie I've ever seen with an underwater base has never ended well.
Well, that's because they have some imaginary sea monster that destroys it.
They're not imaginary, they're real.
Yeah, Deep Blue Sea just had a smart shark.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
A couple smart sharks.
One of these days we'll do a sea monsters episode.
We tried to have that happen already.
I mean, it's not like
the giant monsters.
The world serpent's gonna just be like, "What's up, guys? I'm the fucking world serpent, and this is your base. How's it going?"
Plus, scientists are worried about disrupting ecosystems. There's no ecosystem in orbit to mess up.
That we know of.
John.
But if you pluck a base in the middle, you might be in the migratory pattern of some...
I would love to see a
fucking
bunch
whale.
of
Yeah, but we would be able
whales
to know where those patterns are. We generally do. We have all those migration patterns figured out, so we could put it in a place where it wouldn't be destroying an ecosystem.
I just like the idea that, we put this here, and the whales are coming. They're just hitting the base and bouncing off. Like, oh man, how did this get here?
World's biggest bird just bouncing off the side of the ship.
No, it needs to do the manatee thing where it just smushes up against the glass and then bounces off.
Just sliding across it, dragging it.
I refuse to move. I refuse to move.
Anyway,
But
that's about it. I just think it's pretty cool. UFOs going into the water, the idea of underwater alien bases.
It'd be like if we had an F-22 that could go underwater and fight an ocean war with it, that'd be pretty cool. It'd be completely unimaginable because anything we have now couldn't do that without shearing itself to pieces.
Oh man, that would be so cool.
What, an F-22 shearing itself into the ocean?
Yes.
Well, it probably wouldn't even make it in. It'd probably tumble across the surface because it'd be moving fast enough that it'd be like hitting
you
the
just have to
pavement.
Nose down, see how far you can get into the... We're going to put a little tracker, see how deep you get before your plane just rips itself in half.
Have you ever belly flopped?
Yeah. It's like hitting, at that speed, it would be like hitting concrete. The plane would just explode on contact because there's so much resistance to its speed.
It wouldn't be under the surface. It would just...
It would get about that deep,
across
and
the
then
surface.
boom.
It'd be like the idea, you remember they did it on Mythbusters a long time ago, the idea of dropping a hammer into the water before you fall to break the surface tension, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it
No,
doesn't
it's
work,
still
but-
like hitting concrete.
But if it did work, you could just have like mounted guns and start firing at the water and then just fly right down into the water.
Yeah, and then
Like the surface tension, and then you just a little dolphin plane going through the water. Can you imagine though how dominant we would be if we had planes that could dolphin dive like in the water, just like sneak up underwater and then just fly out and start bombing?
Or planes you can launch from a sub.
Yeah.
getting not big enough.
Submersible aircraft carriers.
Mm-hmm.
That was an idea back in the 80s, but it was just too big, and they wouldn't.
Yeah, you would have to make it really large.
Yep, it would hold. I think it would hold like 8 planes, and it would come up, but the deck would either raise or open, and they'd take off out of it. Problem was they didn't really have the landing potential.
Yeah, that'd be pretty difficult, but that's actually a
'cause
cool idea.
Landing and taking off from an aircraft carrier at the current size of an aircraft carrier is already terrifying.
Yeah, one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen is the flying aircraft carrier in the Avengers. That thing is so stupid.
I mean, it would have. I think at the scale that it is, it would have a long enough runway for landing and
but
taking
it was
off.
just how on earth do you keep that thing in the air? It was
feet
massive.
to take off and land.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, how much do you need with the slingshots?
it's 800 feet. The slingshot is one, and then the landing one is a different one.
Yeah.
They can launch and catch at the same time.
Yeah. I'm just saying, though, how much length do you need when you're slingshotting for the takeoff?
I don't know.
I don't think it's very much.
No, it's not. It's about a third of a carrier because they get up to 220 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just speed they need. Back in the day, you would have the 800-foot wood deck carriers, and you could get your prop planes up to speed before you got to the end, especially as the front man in the formation. I mean, they got those B-17s off the Hornet, so who knows?
One of us should get a pilot's license.
We're not doing that.
Not it.
I'll do it.
No, you won't.
Why
You should
not?
become an air traffic controller. They make a lot of money.
No thanks.
Yeah, they also have like
Too much
the
math.
second, or no, like it's not math, it's memorization.
There's a lot of math in air.
Yeah, there's a
traffic
lot,
control.
but you have to be able to just keep all your shit together too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how often do emergencies actually happen?
Very.
Yeah, probably almost daily. At least where two flight paths may intersect and they have to redirect. It probably happens constantly.
Yeah,
I
my
think
brother.
that'll be all planned out ahead of time. They know all the flights that are supposed to happen.
Yeah, but sometimes they have to adjust course for different things like turbulence, weather systems, things like that. And so you have to know where to adjust their course so that they won't interfere with anyone else.
Yeah, my brother's got a friend in Australia who's an air traffic controller, and his wife is like the regional emergency controller for like Southern Pacific Australian airspace.
On that note,
Underwater bases? Bullshit.
I like it.
Possible. Stupid, but possible.
Possible.
Yeah. Possible.
I think your idea of let's make an underwater thing 60 feet offshore is a dumb idea.
I agree with that
I
one.
want to do that.
No.
We're going to build a house, but it's going to be in 12 feet of water.
You guys have no imagination. You can't picture an underwater future.
Why would I want to?
Well, only
yeah,
if it had to be that
Bioshock.
way.
Bioshock ended poorly, if I remember right.
Yeah, it ended very poorly. But that
It
was
did,
probably...
but it wasn't a failure of the base.
Well, the base was falling apart by the time you got there.
Well, yeah, by the time you get
but
there.
that was more a political failing than...
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for aliens, yeah, maybe. For us, I think it's stupid. I'll always take space over the ocean. Because space is exciting.
No.
Yeah.
No, I've been waiting for like the last 5 minutes for you to say the line.
No, I'm not. I'm going to keep talking.
That's what I was going to say. Do the roar.
No. So I just think you're an idiot.
All right, I'll do it for you. Have fun, everybody.
Ruben.
Hey, Ruben. Y'all getting panda.